What's up, you guys? Welcome to my channel, Paradoxical Joy. It's your girl Joy, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the new Netflix series Family Reunion. So Family Reunion is basically about this family, and they are moving from Seattle to Georgia. It's a small town in Georgia, and they're moving. It's about, a dad who used to be in the NFL, and their actor was actually in the NFL as well. Mom, our girl Tia Mowry, and then 4 kids, 2 girls, 2 boys. And they move into the dad's parents' house in Georgia. And so it's kind of like that generational play of you have the grandparents, the parents, and then the kids. And kind of like that back and forth going. And so for me, when I was watching it, Netflix is terrible at rolling out their marketing for shows as of late, and I don't understand what's happening. Listen, Netflix, if you're trying to get somebody a job, hit me up, okay? I'll get your marketing straight, girl. It's no problem, girl. But yeah, so I feel like not a lot of people have been talking about it. Not enough people know about it. And yeah, I don't understand why. But anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and go into because I watched all 10 episodes, so I'll go ahead and go into what I liked about the show and what I didn't like about the show. So first of all, if you see me kind of glancing over, it's because I wrote some things down so I would remember it, and I'm just looking over it. So one of the first things is that the grandma, who was played by Lavette Devine, I think that's how you say her name. We all know who she is. Homegirl from every Tyler Perry movie and House of Pain, Meet the Browns, all that. She and all that, isn't she? I'm pretty sure she is. Whatever. You know who I'm talking about. Homegirl. She's in everything. Everything black, pretty much. Everything that's family and black. She in it. So I was like, okay, girl, go off then. And she is the grandma, and they actually call her Medea, which is kind of similar to Medea, and I actually really like that. It's kind of I thought it was very kind of sentimental and homage to the South and the black community. So I really appreciated it. So throughout this whole show, I'm going to try to give a review, a holistic review without going too much into detail. So if you still want to watch it yourself, you can. And if you don't watch it, you still feel like you kind of understand what's happening. Okay? So when it comes to the show, like I said, they're in the South, they're in Georgia. So the entire show really pays a lot of homage to Southern roots, black Southern roots, and just the black community in general. Or at least it attempts to. We'll get into all that a little bit later. But yeah, so it has a lot of things, stuff like the kids calling the grandma Medea, or the grandpa's actually a pastor, and then the pastor's wife, and so they had episodes and just conversations about religion and Christianity and what that looks like. And Coco, played by Tia, isn't as religious as everyone else, and so that was a whole thing. And it's also Jade, who's the eldest daughter. She has had, how all the teenage girls are I'm trying to go out and date, I'm trying to go out and, be cute. And the grandma's where are you going? You trying to be fast, stuff like that. So it had a lot of those themes, which I think was cool. I appreciated it. It kind of is similar to Blackish, but also quite different. It was also it was very sitcom-y. It is a sitcom, and it was taped in front of a live audience, which I thought was pretty cool. I was okay, bring that back then. I see y'all. So yeah, all of those things were dope. I liked how every episode kind of seemed to try to serve a purpose. They talked about a lot of different themes, and I really appreciated them bringing those different themes up. Oh, something I really liked is that at the end of every episode, they would kind of highlight someone that either was a part of the civil rights movement, or just someone that was black in history that did the damn thing, really. And so I really appreciated that. It was a lot of little moments here and there where they were really, giving homage to those that have come before us, who've really put in that work. And I thought it was dope. I appreciated that, and that kind of aspect is what really reminded me of Blackish. Especially when they did that whole entire episode, when Blackish did that whole entire episode for Prince. It was kind of that same, not to that extent, of course, but that same aesthetic of we are giving homage to people that have come before us and have done great things. And I'm pretty sure that's kind of a lot of the main things that I liked. So let's go ahead and get into these issues, honey. Let's get into the tea. Girl, let me sip some of this real tea, because... Okay, so we're just gonna hop into this. So Ayesha, I'm actually really not sure her last name, but Ayesha from The Grapevine, which is this awesome channel on YouTube. She's a continuous guest or host, or what do they call them? I don't even know. But she's always on there, on the panel, always talking about different issues. And I follow her on Twitter, and I'll probably insert it here or like tag it down below somewhere. And she basically made this tweet where she was like, she was trying to get into Family Reunion, but she couldn't because she felt like there was a lot of colorism with it. Being that like the grandfather and grandma were darker skin tone, the son was darker skin tone, and when it went from Tia down, it got very light. And like until I saw that tweet, I didn't really notice it. I wasn't really paying that much attention. For me, when she said that, I didn't really necessarily feel like it was colorism. I felt like it was more like because Tia is half white, half black, I just assumed that that's why the kids were light too. You know what I mean? Like it was like they were gonna bring that up and they were gonna talk about it. And because when you look at Blackish, which is something that I compared the show to a lot because they're similar or try to do similar things, with Blackish, it's clear that Tracy Ellis Ross is biracial in real life, so they bring that up into the show, and that kind of explains why Zoe and Junior are lighter, and like some of the other kids tend to be lighter, in my opinion. This, they didn't touch on it at all, and I feel like that was something that they really could have talked about, and they didn't. And I was really like, hello? And they didn't talk about Tia, the mom, her name is Coco in the show. They didn't talk about like her heritage, her lineage, nothing. Like they didn't address it at all, which was fine because Tia isn't as light as she could be compared to her children, especially Jade, who's the first daughter. She's extremely light skin, and they didn't bring that up at all. And they talked about Jade as being like a black woman or a black girl and trying to navigate in that world, and they didn't bring up her skin complexion, which I thought was like a missed opportunity. So that's one thing that I didn't like, and I was just like, why didn't y'all talk about this? Like, this is literally like the elephant in the room, but okay. For me, I thought one of the first things I noticed within 5 minutes of watching this show is that these kids are spoiled. And I understand that like their dad was in the NFL, so they got money, so I understand that. But like if you're trying to bring all these traditional black values, black American values into this show, there is no way that these kids could have gotten away with saying half the stuff that they said without getting popped. And I understand that like it's supposed to be funny, but I just like it wasn't cute enough or funny enough to actually be like in the show, in my opinion. Because if you look at a show like The Cosby Show, like it was still funny, it had funny elements, and the kids were still acting up here and there, and like the parents had to be like, come on now, like whatever. But they weren't saying crazy stuff where they would have gotten popped. Like, let's be real, especially if your granddaddy is a pastor in the South and your there's no way you can get away with saying half the stuff they said or did or whatever without getting a nice good pop. That was just my opinion, and I wasn't here for it. One thing that I really didn't understand about the show is why they left Seattle. I was waiting all season long. I kept persisting through these episodes to figure out why did they leave Seattle, like what caused it, and there was no like defining answer. And other characters brought it up and were like, y'all left because like you bankrupt, like what, and it was never answered. And I'm maybe like they trying to wait for season 2, but honestly the way that these numbers probably look, there's not gonna be another season 2, so they should have just told us. Here's a trivial thing that I didn't like. I didn't like how they dressed up the actors, specifically Tia Mowry Hardick. I hope I'm saying her name right. Anyways, y'all know who I'm talking about, Tia. I don't know if Tia was, because she just had a baby. So I'm not sure if Tia was pregnant while this was shooting or she had just like had the baby. But either way, like you could tell that she had like a little bit of like weight, which is fine, not body shaming like at all. I'm just saying that the outfits didn't like look good on her body. Like they wanted her like, cause she's like supposed to be a millennial. I think she's like 36 in the show, but she's about that age in real. I think she's 40 in real life, so she's a little older. But So they had her like in skinny jeans and stuff like that, but they would have her like in really like high heels, skinny jeans, and then like some wrap around her body. And I was just like, what was this? Like, y'all should have put more money or time into how she looked. And then there was like the wigs of other characters. It was just, child, it was a mess. And I was just like, what is happening here? Like, we could have done better than this. Like, if you're gonna come out here and be a black show about black lives, about, like, come with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come with it. Don't be just, it was just sad. It was just sad. Come on. It was tragic. Okay. So this is the last thing that I will go into about what I did not like about the show, which seems like a long laundry list, but it's a lot easier sometimes to point out what you didn't like than what you did. For me, the show, what really bothered me the absolute most about the show is that they would bring up issues like body image, police brutality, like women's bodies and their, like, not necessarily their rights, but how they view themselves, religion, and they would not go into it. Like, they would not even hit the surface level. There were so many incidences and just situations where they really could have said something and they didn't. I think there was maybe one time where they talked about religion and they went in a different way than I thought they were gonna go, and I was really impressed with that. But especially in the black community, we have a tendency, like, one thing I like about Blackish is that they at least bring up the conversation. And to me, they didn't even bring up the conversation. They just literally threw these random things in, and like they were, especially like towards the end, the last episode, there was like a huge issue that really had, like, I was invested in this episode especially, and I was like, what is gonna happen? And to me, it just wasn't enough. They just didn't do enough. They would have like these big instances like police brutality, and then they would cover up police brutality by saying, well, God love thy enemy. And then I was like, hello, like, that's like, if you're going to use the Bible in order to like kind of clean something up, then at least use it throughout. Literally, I kid you not, they would just start quoting scripture and that would be it. And I'm not meaning like, oh, like they would like they'd be like, oh, you know, God so loved the world. No, they would literally be like John 3:16. Like, they would say the scripture and like actually quote it, and that would be it. And I was really confused, and I don't understand why this was done. Overall, how I feel about this series, I think it was cute. I think they should have focused on lighter issues, because I feel like the show is intended to be lighthearted, and in some instances it was, and in some instances it was actually funny. But I think that just attention to detail and follow through on the story could have made this show great. If it's renewed for season 2, would I watch? Yeah, I mean, it didn't take much time. It's like 20 to 30 minutes, supporting the black community in some way. We need, to be putting food on these actors' tables some way, somehow. So I don't mind doing that, but is this the new favorite show? No. Would I recommend, like, binging it? No. This is some show that you put on in the background while you're doing something else. This is not something where you're, like, eagerly, where you're eagerly awaiting for the next season or anything like that. In my opinion, there are far better black sitcoms that I think that if they do have a season 2 that they need to look into, like Blackish or even Marlon. Marlon was canceled, but to me it was better than this. It was more funny, it was more lighthearted, and so to kind of combine the two. But overall, I think if I had to rate it out of, let's say, 5, I think I would give it like a 2.5 to a 3. The characters were pretty cool. I did see a lot of growth within some of the characters, which I appreciated, and it was fairly funny. It just, to me, like, some of the things that went wrong, and so they definitely have some improvements to make for season 2 if it's renewed. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, or if you're planning on seeing it, or if you've already seen it, comment down below, tell me what you think. Let's have a conversation about it. Maybe some of the things I didn't like, you liked. Girl, school me, I'm ready for it. Let's talk. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and like it, comment down below like I said, and subscribe. Bye, y'all.